Another decision made. I've tried to get that vacuum pump to work, and I did succeed. It just didn't last very long. So the diaphragm actually is fine that I made. The problem is with the one-way valves inside. I just can't get them to seal properly, specifically one of them. So I broke down. I bought this kit, found a reasonably priced kit finally from then-now.com. I think this was $65 US, which is not bad. So I'm going to put that in and see if the pump actually works reliably. It would be so nice to have windshield wipers that don't quit when you step on it. Not that I'm looking forward to driving it in the rain, but it's nice to have them when you need them. And also the antenna, be nice to have that working. And the windshield washer, that too would be really good. Probably that's more important than the antenna. I just looked through the camera lens and realized I should clean up first. I know it's not like me, but I'll do some cleanup. Then I'll start taping. That looks way better, right? Well, better anyway. So this cover has to come off. That's one bolt, 7/16 in this case. There's a filter. This here fits right there. Take the screws out, crack them just a bit all the way around, and then remove them. And mark the housing so that you get it back in the right location. Because it's frustrating to go through, is it 10 screws? Yeah, 10 screws. Keep moving at one position until you get the right one. Screwdrivers sometimes get slippery. Some pressure on there from the spring inside. Now, I'll have to check my marks here. I'm going to go figure that out at the moment. Just to make sure, because I've had it apart twice now at least. Make sure I haven't. So this is the vacuum side. The pressure side is up top. So it has to pull air in through that one, which will pull that valve up. And this one has to have pressure so that, well, suction. Yeah, suction in this case, so that pulls that open. So this has to pull towards the accessories. So that will be the suction side. And this here should go to the manifold. So that will pull that open. So check the manual, see if I got that right. Imagine my disappointment. There's nothing in the manuals about this. So this is the suction side, has to be, because we're not pushing air out, we're sucking it in. So that's the manifold, and I did have it in the right position. It was right about there. That's the way I've marked it. The diaphragm is marked. This is marked. So let's I'm going to remove this one. That's an old one. Just use some solvent, get rid of that. Clean it up, put the pieces in, and then work on the fuel pump, which is actually working, but it does leak back to the tank. So hopefully this kit will take care of that problem. I've sandblasted this previously. That's in a previous video. Cleaned it all up because it was filthy. Here's the retainer for the two valves in the vacuum pump. It comes out. There. Get rid of them. One of these is still leaking. That O-ring is my effort to try and seal off what was a bent housing on one of the valves. Try that out. And then this, the bar The actuator is there, and then these two. The fuel pump fits on the inner, and the vacuum pump fits on the outer. Likewise, I cleaned this all up. So I'm probably going to have to redo this part, which is going to be a challenge. Or I can keep this diaphragm, which is doing quite fine, but we'll see. I don't have to open up the diaphragm. Fortunately, I have a complete replacement. So the vacuum side has the short shaft. The fuel side, which is pressure, has the long shaft. So that just goes down in there. I've marked it as to how it fits. I have to replace these two valves that are in here, clean up this surface. It wasn't leaking at all. And then I've got some parts to replace in here. The screen, there's some oxide in here I got to get rid of. The gasket, and transfer this stuff over as well. There's a spring and a couple of rubber washers. This one being special. And then the steel washer down there. So, just the reverse of disassembly. Let us proceed. I will clean this. I got that one, and this one, which has to be cleaned as well. So I'll get out the wire brush, go to it. One thing I found that was wrong, hang on here, good. One thing I found that's wrong, okay, that steel washer goes down there. That's as clean as I can get it without sandblasting it. And it's just going to rust again. That retains the spring, centers it. Then this piece here is all worn out, and the other one is the seal for in here. I will clean this up just with a wire brush, small one. Lots came off of there. Okay, so then this one here fits nicely on that. That's the seal. It fits nicely on the shaft. I've done that part. Now this can go in here. So the spring gets retained. Everything in line. There it is. It's in line with the actuator. Now it's hooked. So now I will finish the top portion, get that together. A good point is, last thing to put on is this glass bowl, because dropping it is very annoying. So that part, so here I have to clean up this surface, and I have to replace these valves, and then work on this part as well. So these gaskets, there's 4 of them, and there's 4 valves, so those fit down inside the seat, and the valve goes against that gasket. So one has to go down and one has to go up. This one was up. I'm going to check them. And they seal nicely. Way better than the old ones. And this goes here to retain them. And they have to go down evenly. So I'll start this one. That. And this one. Might not be a bad idea to put some Loctite on there so I can keep the gas away from them. But I haven't had a problem yet, so And these you can put right down because they have a shoulder that they clamp against. So they can be tight. I've never had a problem with them working loose. So now through the ports, seals nicely. Tastes like gas. Oh, there's a hole there. Never mind, can't do that yet. Okay, so this one is suction. So that has to go to the tank. So let's see here. Yeah, that makes sense. Pulls it in from the tank, goes through the filter, fills the bowl. The bowl is full, then you have gas there. So that comes out. And that stays. Yeah, it's corroded on there. I'm not going to fight with that. It'll damage it. So that's the fuel pump done. Be careful putting the screen on. It's a little tricky. The new one is a little bit bigger. It doesn't fit perfectly in this edge, and I wasn't going to try and cut it. So I folded it over and had to work this down carefully to hold it. So just more guarantee it's not going to slip off. Now the fuel pump is on the inner. That'll be for the vacuum pump. That arm. I have a new spring for in here, so I'm going to replace that, which means driving this pin out and then putting it back in. So let's get on with that part. It looks like this is a one-way, and this looks like a new shaft for it with pins. We'll see if that's right or not. So it looks like that has to come off there. I'm thinking that's a shoulder. That's the trouble with no instructions. So let me look at that. I had to overcome fear, but I did it. I drilled out the shaft. I had to drill out the end of it to get the clip off. I tried chiseling and other things and it just wouldn't work. So this end here is what fortunately the new shaft does indeed fit. I was afraid that it wouldn't, but it does. This all gets lubricated by the engine. Oil all splashes up in here. So, and this retains the spring. So I'll put the new spring in, which I'm sure you can see is in much better shape than the old one. Here's the old one, looking a little twisted. And I know I had a new one. Ah, here it is, hidden by the screen. Looks a little better, quite a bit longer. You can see, almost a quarter of an inch. So that old one has been compressed. So now to put this all back in, this has to go in with the clips this way. So they have to hold the diaphragm, or the piston for the diaphragm. So they both go that way. One is pushed down, the fuel pump side is pushed down, and the vacuum pump is pulled down. Okay, so I've put the pin in. It's a bit tricky getting it into the right spot. So I used a punch to line up one side and then felt when it was actually hitting against the bushing and then tapped it gently to get it in. So there's a little circlip goes there on this shaft. And then the same thing on the other side. So line it up. Make sure it's not going to go bouncing off anywhere. Use the standard pliers, carefully push it on. There, like that. Now that's not going to come out. These are lined up in the right portion. The spring is in place. There, feels good. Put a little oil in there. And let's continue. Please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, or even notify, or any of the above, or all of the above. Thank you.